Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Refuge from Narcissism, and this refugee video is a sponsored video sponsored by Vincent for Anonymous. And here's Anonymous's story. Dear Ollie, sponsored needed first time. Sorry in advance, this is long, but it's a great baby boomer video. It gets deep into how there are double standards and how we only born after 1964 are second-class citizens who only exist to serve them. It also gets into how apparently with empathy and compassion are only for boomers too. The rest of us need to suck it up. It's only bad if it happened to a boomer. Once again, it's the firefighter Zennial from 2 years ago. To listeners who may want to listen to baby boomers, I just know, and sometimes Cinderella has a dick first before this. Last I wrote, things were good. I moved to a new state to begin my firefighter job last February, and it was amazing. Though I was living in a small apartment and not in the best part of town, I had everything I needed. And within a few weeks of moving, I began my paid fire academy and instantly hit it off with all the other 20 recruits in the class. I was told I had charisma about me and a natural leadership potential by many of my classmates, and a few of the instructors. The academy in the beginning was very fun, and everything I had hoped for since was fun, and everything I had hoped for since I was cheated out of my chance to go right before the recession. I loved the new area I was living in. Though I never really got to enjoy it because about a month after I moved, the lockdown started. So I never really got to enjoy the downtown area of my new state. But I managed to keep a positive attitude and made the best out of the new regulations. Just my luck, right? Finally, something good. And it's tainted by the boomers. Around this time, one of the instructors began bullying and hazing me, and the others, though to a lesser degree. I won't go into detail because it's a civil court matter now. Needless to say, he was removed via an investigation, and a few of his friends violated the department's testing procedures. And wouldn't you know, I failed out by one point. There are a lot of shady details I can't get into, but I do have witnesses and statements from various people, including high-ranking officers. At the time of my dismissal, the deputy chief did not agree with it. Apparently, the individual bullying me had numerous other incidents, but it was protected because he was a good old boy and his family in the department and throughout the union. Although I will say this, my department funds our own pension program, not the taxpayer. Very rare. Changes were made to the department in the wake of this investigation, and I simply asked to be admitted into the next class, which began about 6 weeks after my dismissal. Both the deputy chief and my captain thought it was more than fair, and said so to the head chief, submitting in writing that I didn't get a fair shot. The request was denied, probably under pressure from the union to protect the good old boy, fourth-generation firefighter, and sweep yet another investigation under the rug. My classmates spoke up to me, and some are facing retaliation as a result. My classmates were all awesome, and we were a group of men and women from all races, economic backgrounds, religions, education levels, parts of the country, different countries, etc. I miss them every day, and we're truly like a family. Same goes for my 3 mentors, but all are barred from speaking to me now because I have filed a civil case on the matter, hence why I'm vague on the matter. I tried applying for over 150 jobs over the next 4 months, but COVID. Though that's just an excuse to the boomers. To them, it's still the 90s economy, and NAFTA never happened. I guess Bush 41 is still in office. Biden claimed to get his endorsement, though he died in 2018. Maybe I'll get a clear Pepsi and go see the gym blossoms then. Anyway, I had a few interviews, but no luck. At one point, I had a crappy job for 2 days, but they laid me off for lack of business. A week later, I finally heard back from unemployment, which is in Virginia, which is weird in Virginia. For some reason, my last 2 quarters were not relevant, so I only got 12 weeks. Well, in theory. Though I followed all the rules and more, I wasn't getting my money because of those 2 days at that job. And I filed my first claim after they let me go. I would call multiple times a day, no luck, and can't go there in person. They sent me a form after the date it was due asking about said crappy job. I filled it out and sent a note explaining everything along with my pay stub for those 2 days. Still nothing, and I can't get through. As a result, I went broke, though unemployment owes me about $5,000. So I could have kept my apartment for at least 4 months, and by then settled my lawsuit. So I had no choice but to move into my mother's, and it's worse than ever. This is long, but trust me, it's educational. All boomer tactics are in it. Christmas was extra special this year. I was guilted into going to my mom's sister's house. I gray rocked the whole time, though her son, my cousin, kept trying to start something. The topic of my suit was unavoidable, he told me. I deserved it because of my personality type and the INFJ, and I'm an INFJ, the rarest type, only 1.2% of people and only 0.4% of men. My channel is called INFJ Integrity, and I discuss INFJ issues. He then went on about my psychological issues, which don't exist, and I've been heavily tested for that job, but that means nothing in the face of I just know logic. So I finally dropped the bomb and told his wife about his affairs. She's a good person and deserves to know anyway. The fallout was epic, but I don't care if he hates double standards. Like you have said, Ollie, they put us on trial for our entire lives. We are guilty without evidence and cannot even defend ourselves. Though my boomer family members are all upper middle class, worth around $1 million each, they refuse to lend me money. He'll lend my one aunt, or is that hell? Hell, my one aunt donated her $600 COVID money because she doesn't agree with people getting them because all her retired boomer friends are fine. You know, the ruling class. She gave it away, but not to me, though she did help my brother buy a car after he wrecked his again. I got more compassion from my landlord than my family. She waived the fees when I moved out and was going to allow me to rent month to month. But jobs are slim. My family told me to get a McDonald's job because in boomer world that would pay the bills, because it did in the 70s. Remember doesn't matter. Remember doesn't matter how much education, certifications, experience, work ethic, intelligence we have. We only exist to serve and should be happy with the crumbs the boomer gods cast us. I have a 4-degree in plant biology with honors, 2-year in fire science, and a boatload of certifications. Yet, how dare I feel entitled to a $50,000 a year job, even after 17 years of work experience, too? We don't deserve what we worked for forever, but they got more than a fair shot handed to them for just graduating high school, and they took it all and they still want more. They get that much, $50,000 from Social Security pensions each year. on top of their wealth, and it's not enough, so poor. I created a term called baby boomer poor. It means you are over 60 and worth less than 1.5 million, but more than 750,000. So I'm on my way back from losing my apartment. My brother calls. Mom overdosed on Oxy and Xanax. I told him call an ambulance. He was scared. He called her sister. A big mess from what I'm told. Of course, a boomer in distress means all hand on deck. It's one of ours. Group texts ensue. One of her friends said how stressed my mother is because she is trying to downsize her house and has tons to get rid of. I told her for 3 years, dumpster, I can have it done in 3 days. But now I could have it done in 3 days, but no, that's not how it's done. I talked to both my wealthy aunts about a dumpster to clean out all the stuff my mother started hoarding in the past 10 years. But that's hundreds of dollars they will never see, and they are baby boomer poor, which is such a sin. That's what they tell each other. Her friend yelled at me for not doing enough to help, despite me living in a different state and everything I was dealing with having been wronged. She even said, how dare I complain about my situation? So what, I've been wrong now and before too, and lost everything. It is what it is. Boomer loves platitudes and call that advice. Mind you, my issues are no fault of my own in heading the court, but I should just let it go. I'm not a boomer, so I don't matter. That's the way it is. Unless it happens to the boomer, it doesn't matter. And if it does happen to the boomer, then the world stops. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. I pointed out the double standard and how my mother's issues are of her doing, and how many people have offered to help her and also tried to help her clean out the house. But you know boomer logic. Let me ask you, how can I clean out a house with no way to get the trash stuff out? To them, that's an excuse. To me, it's simple logistics. I've noticed something my whole life. If you're a boomer or a golden child, the more you fuck up, the more people bend over backwards to help you. But if you're a black sheep, even if someone wrongs you legally, you have no right to complain. Mind you, I didn't complain to my mother. She would call, and if I didn't pick up, she would call my old captain in full borderline histrionics. This would result in the psychological professional showing up at my door worried. He's a friend of mine now. We talk weekly. I allowed him to talk to my mother, and he reported that I am doing fine given the circumstances. He also thinks my mother is a borderline and she's being tested. My shrink is a black boomer. He is a big fan of A Generation of Sociopaths, How Baby Boomers Destroyed America by Bruce Cannon Gibney, who explains it's white boomers who destroyed the country. Yep. One silver lining is my mom's good friend stood up for me. She's a boomer who worked a production line job as a single mother after her husband was killed in a car crash in the early 90s. She told the others, if I can't complain about my situation, past and present, most people can't. Because I did everything the boomers told me I needed to do all my life. And not only did I not get it, I didn't even get a fair shot. All while flunkies kept getting third or ninth chances. I was never defended by a boomer before, especially to other boomers. They must have been real out of line. But I am an entitled prick because I can never be happy being underemployed, working 2 jobs in an area I hate. Clearly, I should be locked up because boomer logic. Thank you to whomever sponsored this video. I have never needed a sponsor before, and I really need this story out. thank you, Ollie, for taking the time. I know it's long, but it runs the gamut on boomer narcissism, and you're the expert on baby boomer narcissistic abuse. You know, there's not really a lot to say here. You know, it's unfortunate what happened with the fire department, and you know, it's tough because you're in a political organization like that, and when you speak out, usually you get retaliated against. But once again, and I've made this point several times, unless it happens to the boomer, it doesn't matter. If it does happen to the boomer, nothing else matters. That's just the way it is. And that's just the way it's always going to be. And that's why these boomers have destroyed the country and the world. So, not all boomers, obviously. Not all boomers. So, I hope that helps. Thank you so much for the story, and thank you to Vincent for sponsoring. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like me to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Refuge from Narcissism. Take care.